Good morning. And that's right, I'm with Chef Marco from Marco's Italian Restaurant, but today we're not really making an Italian dish so much. It's more for Under the Sea week, right?
That's right, Under the Sea. We're going to put a little twist on a favorite. We're going to make fish tacos.
Okay, so what do we need for the fish tacos?
We're using tilapia today. If you don't have tilapia, cod works great, perch works great, shrimp is awesome. If you don't eat seafood, but, you know, being Under the Sea week, we have to eat seafood. But if you don't eat seafood, chicken works great, beef. We have some corn tortillas, some shredded cheddar cheese, roasted peppers, white beans. I don't travel without garlic, you know.
That sounds great. And so if you're going to use a different kind of meat, will you season it the same way?
Yep, exactly the same way.
Okay, perfect. And so just again, go over all of our ingredients that we have here.
White beans, red onions, tilapia, coleslaw, corn tortillas, cilantro, shredded cheddar, jalapenos for some heat, garlic, some adobo. We're going to put a little ranch drizzle on top.
Ooh, I love ranch. And so as far as the coleslaw goes, that must give it a nice little crunch.
It gives it a nice little crunch, gives it another texture. I'm all about texture when you're eating. You want, you don't want the same flavor, at one time. You want something that you experience a different adventure in each bite. How's that sound?
Yes, I like the sound of that.
Sounds good.
And so you said that you can actually find these fish tacos on your menu under the appetizers.
We run them as an appetizer special, we do.
Okay, are they pretty popular?
Very popular.
Okay, great. And so we'll have much more on this. We'll start cooking in the next segment, but for now we're going to send things on over to Emily Lenahan with your .com check. Hey, Emily. We are continuing Under the Sea week here at Winging It Buffalo Style with Chef Marco of Marco's Italian Restaurant. But as we said earlier, we are not cooking Italian today.
We're not cooking Italian. We're going to put a little southwestern flair on this unique dish.
All right, let's get started.
Okay, I told you we're going to use tilapia. Tilapia is a really mild white fish, and it's in the freezer. And it comes this is about a 4-ounce piece. So what we're going to do, just so that it fits into the taco shell, I'm just going to cut it long ways. Okay, we have all-purpose flour. We're going to season that with a little adobo spice.
Is that going to give it some kick?
It's going to give it a little kick, but it's also going to give it some, southwestern flair. A little salt and pepper.
So can you just get something like that at Penzi Spices?
Penzi Spices has them, Tops has them, Wegmans has them. You know, they're available. It's not they come in these big jars. It's not an expensive spice. Probably about $3 for a big pound of it.
Awesome.
So once we season our flour, all we're going to do is dredge our fish. Really light. You don't have to go crazy on it. And then. So
you're keeping these big pieces?
We're keeping those big pieces.
Perfect. So that looks good. And coming up, what's our next step that we're going to do in the next segment?
We're gonna actually pan fry it in a little olive oil, and then we're gonna make a salsa that's gonna go on top of the corn tortilla.
Okay, perfect. And coming up after the break, whether you like to ride a motorcycle or just a regular bike, we'll learn about where you can race and support some great community programs. But first is Under the Sea Week, inspiring you to post for some pictures by the water. We'll get advice from a photographer on how to capture the most serene view next in the hot sauce. Hey, Amelia, I'm with Chef Marco from Marco's Italian Restaurant. You just fired up the burners. We are ready to get started on our fish tacos.
We are. These don't take very long, so it'll be quick.
All right, go ahead and tell us what we got going.
So I got my pan heated to a medium-high heat. We're just going to coat the pan with some little olive oil. I'm going to do two at one time because we're going to do the salsa in one and the fish in one.
Okay.
All right.
And so is that what you'd recommend to somebody at home as well?
Yeah, it just makes it a little easier, a little less mess. Remember we cut our fish? And we got the adobe spice on there. A little light flour.
And are you on about a medium-high heat right now? Or?
Medium-high heat. We want that sizzle. We want to sear that fish. Let that cook. It's really not going to take that long. It's only about maybe 2 ounces of fish there, so
okay.
It won't take that long. So in our other pan, we got our oil heated. I thought it was heated. There, get it. We're going to add a little onion. A little garlic.
The garlic, of course, right?
Gotta add the garlic. We're using white cannellini beans. If you want to use like pinto beans and make a little more authentic, go right ahead. You know, I'm Italian, I use white beans. So we're using some fire roasted peppers. Now, I did them in advance.
I was going to say, how do you roast those peppers?
Real simple, I'll show you. You get a flame, you take the pepper, you set it on a flame.
Well, yeah, that does look easy enough.
Fire roasted pepper. So once it'll char, take it off, put it in a brown paper bag. You'll be able to pull the skins off, and it'll come out just like this, nice and soft.
How long do you need to let it stay in the paper bag for?
3-4 minutes.
Oh,
just
quick.
Give it a little steam. Yeah, and you just want to rotate it. You know, don't put any oil on it because it'll start, make a fire on your burner. Just let it sit there. The flame will roast it real nice, get it nice and soft. If you don't want to do it that way, cut them in half, put a little olive oil, throw them in the oven, let them roast in there. So it's pretty simple. So I have to ask you, how hot do you like your salsa?
I like spicy.
Okay. Jalapeno. We're going to cut the top off. We're going to cut it in half. We're going to cut some of these seeds out because this is where the heat is. Not the seeds, but the vein down the middle.
Okay.
I want to show your viewers. See that vein right there?
Yes.
That has the oil in it. That's where it gets really hot. Take that out of there. We're going to cut this up. We're going to throw that right in our salsa.
Unless you want it really, really hot.
Unless you want it really, really hot, then leave it in there. But
okay.
You got to remember one thing too, though, Emily. Don't rub your eyes after cutting jalapeno, please.
Okay. And you can always add it later if it needs a little more heat to
absolutely.
it, right?
You know, I have some dried chilies. These things are really killer. These are really hot. If you really want to get adventurous, you know. So our beans, our peppers, our onions are cooking. We're throwing a little adobo spice on top, a little salt, a little pepper. And then here's where the little southwestern flair comes in, a little acid. If I can cut this thing in half. We're going to throw some fresh lime right on top.
Ooh, I love that. And while we're cooking away here, we have to talk about, because in the dish we were talking about Jimmy Kimmel just getting engaged, and you actually know Jimmy.
Well, you know I'm kind of a big deal, you know.
Yeah, I know it.
Yeah, I wanted you to know that. I'm the chef for Serrano Cheese, and Jimmy Kimmel puts on a festival in Hollywood, California, called the Feast of San Gennaro. And I go there and I represent Precious and Galbani, which is another part of our umbrella underneath Serrano Cheese. And I've worked with Jimmy on the morning show 5 or 6 times already, and he's a super guy. His family is awesome.
And you've impressed him with your cooking.
Come on. Of course. I'm a little cocky this morning. I'm sorry.
That's okay. We like confidence here on Winging It.
You know, I go there. We have a lot of fun. We work with a lot of celebrities, and Jimmy's the main guy. He actually puts it on, Adam Carolla, and I work with, my chef is actually Frank Sinatra's personal chef when he was alive, Frankie Campatelli. Yeah, so it's pretty.
And you probably leave with your cheeks hurting from all the laughing, right?
I do. Yeah. I do, because they're a funny bunch of guys that really, what you see on TV is what you get in person, too. So our salsa is pretty much done. Our fish is nice, and look how nice and crispy that is.
It is nice.
So we're going to use corn tortillas. And the way I do it, I'm going to take this pepper off, is I get a flame. I just put the shell on top of the flame for a second. You just want to soften it so that it's pliable.
Not a good one to do with the kids, I'm guessing.
Well, you actually throw them in the microwave for 10 seconds. I mean, if you want to keep the kids away from the burners. But this is a great project for kids. I mean, my kids love to cook.
And we only have about 30 seconds left, maybe a little less than that.
Okay, so this is what we're going to do. Coleslaw. Oops. I dropped it on there. A little coleslaw. We'll throw one of our fish on there. I'm going to put it right here. We're going to top it with our white bean and red pepper salsa. And some cheddar.
Awesome.
And a little ranch drizzle over the top of that. It doesn't get any better than that. I mean, that's love.
All right, we'll be trying it after the break as well as weather, so make sure to stay with us. I am back in the kitchen with Chef Marco from Marco's Italian Restaurant, and the second helping is a surprise even to me because you haven't shared. You're going to surprise me.
Yeah, because we're making it up as we go along. But if you're doing a party and you want a cool little appetizer, I just brought some Italian bread. We cut on a bias and we put some olive oil on it and we grilled it.
You couldn't completely rule out the Italian, right?
Yeah, we couldn't rule it out. So it's taking a little longer, so I'm just going to try to heat it up here. But we'll take our tilapia, if there's any left over, cut it thin. See how nice and meaty that is?
Yeah, that looks good.
You know, use a serrated knife so that they don't fall all apart. You know, it's nice and flaky as it is. But we're going to take this.
Pretend it's nice and toasted,
Pretend
right?
it's nice and toasted. We could do that. It's live TV. So then we're going to put our fish on top of that. We'll add a little, it's almost like a crostini. We'll add a little bit of the white beans.
Cheese, I love
cheese on top of that. You know, we brought some fresh cilantro that we forgot to use in our tacos, so we'll garnish it with that. But it makes a great appetizer.
And it looks pretty. Lots of colors. You got the red, you got the cheese, the cilantro.
Yeah,
really nice
and it's a healthy
presentation.
thing too. So
Yeah, that's great. And so easy, too, if you're kind of, trying to think of something last minute and you already have these ingredients, all you need is some extra bread.
Absolutely.
Great. And so we're going to go ahead and bring in Matt and Amelia so that they can give this a try. I'm going to grab a few forks for all of us.
I feel like we should just always be prepared with a fork in
We
hand.
should. I usually have them for you, too.
I'm going to get my own specially engraved fork just for the show.
And what's your tip for somebody who's,
Thanks,
not
Emily.
used to cooking fish? What advice would you give to them?
Well, you want to sear the outside and then turn the heat down. If you're really scared, put it in the oven, let it bake. Always use a food thermometer. Temp the inside. You can see, I mean, this came out absolutely perfect, but that's me. But temp it, just put a food thermometer in there, 160 degrees, you're golden.
Okay, perfect.
I have to say I made chicken tacos last night. Now I'm going to have to try these because they look pretty tasty.
Sounds good.
They look
I
really
don't know
good.
where they go. Here we go. So give these guys a shot.
And I
Let me
love
know
the
what you
idea
think.
for the second helping. That's really fun too.
Thank you.
I'm going to take a bite. I'm not going to
And
take
I'm
that. I'm not even going to attempt to pick it up here. Coming
Go
up
right
tomorrow,
up.
it's Friday. Chef Tom will be in the kitchen from The Irishman cooking up Irish food.
And we'll introduce you to our wing and a continental beauty makeover contestant.
And we'll have scuba diving lessons for the end of Under the Sea Week.
And that is awesome. I love how the fish, the outside of it, it's so tasty.